Hey everyone, and welcome back to Interesting Now, where we explore the fascinating, the important, and sometimes the slightly terrifying. Today we're diving headfirst into a topic that has captivated strategists, policymakers, and armchair generals for decades: the growing military might of China and India. Now, comparing these two giants is like comparing, well, a dragon and an elephant. Both are powerful, both are awe-inspiring, but they operate in very different ways, with different strengths and weaknesses. This isn't about predicting a war because war is terrible and nobody wins. This is about understanding the complex realities of military power in the 21st century. Let's get to it. Alright, let's start with the basics. Manpower. China, with its population exceeding 1.4 billion people, boasts the largest standing army in the world, with over 2 million active personnel. India isn't far behind though. With a population rapidly approaching China's, India fields the second largest standing army globally, with over 1.4 million active soldiers. And remember, these are just the active troops. Both countries have massive reserve forces to call upon if needed. But sheer size isn't everything. It's like that old saying, quantity has a quality all its own, but quality still matters. China's military structure is hierarchical and centralized, with the Chinese Communist Party maintaining tight control over its forces. India, on the other hand, has a military structure that reflects its democratic traditions, with civilian oversight and a slightly more decentralized command. This difference in structure can impact things like decision-making speed and flexibility on the battlefield. Now let's talk about the branches. Both China and India maintain formidable armies, navies, and air forces. China's People's Liberation Army, or PLA, is particularly strong, with a modernizing ground force equipped with increasingly advanced tanks, artillery, and infantry equipment. India, while perhaps not as technologically advanced in every area, has a battle-hardened army with experience in diverse terrains, from the Himalayas to the deserts. They've also got a knack for adapting existing equipment and stretching their defense budget, which, as we'll see, is considerably smaller than China's. Speaking of navies, China has been rapidly expanding its naval capabilities, launching new warships, submarines, and even aircraft carriers at an impressive pace. This naval buildup is particularly significant in the context of the South China Sea disputes, where China's assertiveness has raised concerns among its neighbors. India, while not expanding its navy at the same breakneck speed, has also been investing in modernizing its fleet, acquiring new ships and submarines to safeguard its maritime interests in the Indian Ocean. It's a classic case of two powers vying for influence in strategically vital waterways. And let's not forget about air power. China's Air Force, once lagging behind, has made significant strides in recent years, acquiring advanced fighter jets, bombers, and airborne early warning systems. When it comes to military might, money matters. And in the case of China and India, the difference in defense spending is significant. China, with the world's second-largest economy, has consistently increased its defense budget over the past few decades. In fact, China's official defense budget is now more than 4 times larger than India's. This allows China to invest heavily in research and development, procure advanced weaponry, and modernize its forces at a rapid pace. India, while facing economic constraints, has also been increasing its defense spending, albeit at a slower rate. They've been focusing on modernizing their existing equipment, investing in key areas like missile defense, and trying to boost domestic defense production. But it's not just about the total amount of money spent, it's also about how that money is used. China's centralized system allows for more focused and efficient allocation of resources, at least in theory. India's defense procurement process, on the other hand, can be notoriously slow and bureaucratic, sometimes hindering their ability to acquire new equipment quickly. Another important aspect to consider is the source of military equipment. China has increasingly focused on developing its own indigenous defense industry, reducing its reliance on foreign suppliers. They've made impressive progress in areas like shipbuilding, aerospace, and missile technology. India, while also striving for self-reliance, still relies heavily on imports, particularly from Russia, France, and Israel. This dependence on foreign suppliers can create vulnerabilities, especially in times of geopolitical tensions. It's a reality that India, and frankly the rest of the world, has to contend with. Okay, let's move beyond the numbers and talk about the really cool and slightly scary stuff: military technology. Both China and India have been investing heavily in modernizing their armed forces and developing cutting-edge military technologies. China, with its focus on indigenous innovation, has made significant strides in areas like hypersonic missiles, artificial intelligence, and cyber warfare. They've even tested anti-satellite weapons, which is a pretty big deal in the world of military tech. India, while perhaps not as far along in certain advanced technologies, has also been making progress, particularly in areas like space technology, missile development, and nuclear capabilities. One area where China has a clear edge is in hypersonic missiles. These missiles, capable of traveling at speeds exceeding Mach 5, are extremely difficult to intercept and could potentially give China a significant advantage in a conflict. China is also investing heavily in artificial intelligence, or AI, for military applications. This includes things like autonomous drones, intelligent targeting systems, and even AI-powered decision-making tools. The goal is to enhance the speed, precision, and effectiveness of their military operations. India, while lagging behind in AI development, recognizes its importance and has been taking steps to bolster its capabilities in this area. Cyber warfare is another domain where both countries are actively engaged. China has developed sophisticated cyber capabilities, allegedly engaging in cyber espionage, intellectual property theft, and even launching disruptive cyber attacks. India too has been building up its cyber defenses and offensive capabilities. In the 21st century, the battlefield isn't just on land or sea, it's in cyberspace too. The development and deployment of advanced military technologies raise ethical concerns. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or perhaps we should say the dragon and the elephant in the room: nuclear weapons. Both China and India are nuclear-armed states, which adds a whole other layer of complexity and danger to their military rivalry. China was the first of the two to develop nuclear weapons, conducting its first successful test back in 1964. They've maintained a nuclear arsenal ever since, although the exact size of their stockpile is a closely guarded secret. India conducted its first nuclear tests in 1974, declaring itself a nuclear weapons state. They've also maintained and developed their nuclear capabilities, although they maintain a no first-use policy. Both countries possess a triad of nuclear delivery systems, meaning they can launch nuclear weapons from land-based missiles, submarine-launched missiles, and aircraft. This triad provides a level of redundancy and survivability, making it difficult for an adversary to completely disarm them in a first strike. China's nuclear arsenal is believed to be larger and more sophisticated than India's. They've developed a range of ballistic missiles, including intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, capable of reaching targets across the globe. India's nuclear arsenal, while smaller, is still considered credible and capable of inflicting significant damage. The presence of nuclear weapons in the hands of these two Asian giants introduces a chilling reality: the potential for a nuclear conflict. The consequences of a nuclear exchange between China and India would be catastrophic, not just for the two countries involved, but for the entire world. Alright, so far we've talked about soldiers, weapons, and even nuclear bombs. But military power isn't just about what you have in your arsenal, it's also about who you know, or rather, who your allies are. And in the case of China and India, their strategic alliances and global influence play a crucial role in shaping their military standing. China has been steadily expanding its global influence through initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative, forging economic and diplomatic ties with countries around the world. They've also been strengthening military cooperation with countries like Russia and Pakistan. India, with its long tradition of non-alignment, has also been actively engaging in strategic partnerships. They've strengthened ties with the United States, Japan, Australia, and other countries in the Indo-Pacific region, forming what's known as the Quad. The Quad, seen by some as a counterbalance to China's growing influence, aims to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific region. China's close relationship with Pakistan, India's arch-rival, adds another layer of complexity to the equation. China has provided Pakistan with military aid and support, which has further strained relations between India and China. India, on the other hand, has been strengthening its ties with countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, and Indonesia, all of whom have territorial disputes with China in the South China Sea. Beyond traditional alliances, both China and India are actively engaged in multilateral forums and peacekeeping operations. The competition between China and India isn't just playing out in the Himalayas or the Indian Ocean, it's a global competition for influence, resources, and ultimately, a say in how the world order is shaped in the 21st century. So after all that, who comes out on top in this military face-off between China and India? Well, as with most things in geopolitics, there's no easy answer. It's not a simple equation of who has the most tanks or the biggest bombs. China, with its larger economy, bigger defense budget, and rapidly modernizing military, clearly holds a significant advantage in terms of raw military power. They've made impressive strides in developing advanced technologies, and projecting their military might further afield. But India, with its battle-hardened army, strategic location, and growing network of alliances, is far from a pushover. The future of this military balance of power will depend on a complex interplay of factors, including economic growth, technological advancements, political stability, and strategic choices made by both countries. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful comparisons. Let us know in the comments which topic you'd like us to cover next.